Well, practice on day 2 here for the Forrest Wood Cup on Wheeler Lake is coming to an end, and I got Greg Bohannan with me right now. And Greg, I gotta say, I mean, it's hot. You know, everyone's sweaty, but you're probably the best smelling dude I've talked to since I've been down here, so that's saying something.
There's no doubt I'm the best smelling fisherman out here, and I hope the folks in Alabama have a lot of Old Spice because it's hot down here, the humidity's high, and so I've passed a bunch out. You know, when I was at Walmart the other day, there were a few people that didn't have some, so I'm trying to make sure everybody has some.
Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty here. Let's talk some fishing. I mean, you're a guy, you were here in 2012, you had a good finish then. You did some pre-practicing, you know, now you're 2 days into practice here. Really, how's it all playing out for you so far?
Well, I mean, I think there's a few more bites going on than there was in pre-practice. I came here in pre-practice and it was totally dead. I'm getting a few bites, not too many. This is going to be one of those tournaments you got to capitalize on every single bite, because I'm sure you've heard it from everybody else. They're few and far between. You know, so you got, when you get one, you better stick him and get him in the boat.
Have you checked both like the shallow game and some of that offshore stuff, or have you tried to commit one way or another?
Well, I've done both. You know, I'm not ruling out anything. You know, I'm sure the guy that wins this tournament, I don't think it's going to be one of those deals where it's one thing that wins it. I think it's going to be a mix of things. I think it's going to be a junk fishing tournament. You know, it's August, it's tough. There's very few bites going on. So that's kind of how I think it's going to go.
All right. I feel like the one thing I've heard from a lot of guys is a big wild card in this event could be the schooling fish. And it's not really a morning thing. You can catch them all day long. Have you dabbled into any schooling fish at all? Have you found any?
I've dabbled in them some. Man, it's hard to get those dudes to eat. I mean, I actually had them blowing up around the boat, and I threw almost everything in the boat at them and couldn't get them to eat anything. So those are pretty challenging. There's just tons and tons of bait fish.
There is.
I don't understand why there's so many bait fish and the fish are so hard to catch, and that may be part of it. I think a lot of fish are suspended. They're up off the bottom. They're out there with those bait balls that's chasing around. That's what's making it tough for us to catch them.
Well, at this point, you know, you got 1 day left to practice. Really, what's the game plan? What are you thinking about for tomorrow? What do you have left that you want to accomplish out here?
I don't know. I'm going to go turn my iPad on and do a little research tonight. And you know, I've covered the areas I really wanted to cover, so I'm going to look at some new stuff. I want to try to go into some areas I've never been in before, and just, you know, we'll see what happens.
Do you think this will be a tournament too, where maybe on Thursday when things get rolling, you might even be running into some stuff that you never even checked in practice just to see how it's shaking out?
There's no doubt. I've actually ran and looked at some stuff that I probably hit in the tournament. I've never fished it before, and I think it's going to be one of those deals. You just kind of have to get if you get a bite doing something in the morning, you might just have to roll that and totally do something different than you've done in practice.
Well, I got to say you're pretty good at grinding through events, and I look forward to seeing how it shakes out for you here. One more day of practice, Greg. Go get them, man.
All right, man. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Next man up is Jay Kendrick. Jay, you qualified this year through the tour, and you're fishing from home. I mean, you're sleeping in your own house. I guess the first 2 days of practice, scale of 1 to 10, how have they gone to your expectations? Because I know you at least had some expectations coming in here.
Both days were different, Jody, and before cutoff was different. Things have changed since before our cutoff occurred.
Yep.
And then the first day of practice, I had to kind of relocate some fish that I had found beforehand, and I think maybe 2 of those schools, possibly the same fish. They were about 75 yards from where I thought they would be.
All right.
And maybe it was just the day, I don't know, but they definitely had moved. Didn't catch any good fish the first day, just caught keepers. Today was a better day. I had some pretty good fish today, and I was really happy with the way things went. I'm not catching quality fish in a lot of areas. They're only in a few areas, very few. So, you know, boat draw, who gets there first, and you know, maybe I'll get lucky and nobody else will be on those fish, but we'll see.
Now, you talk about these fish as though they're offshore, and I know that this time of year there's fish offshore, but there's also fish shallow, and that's kind of been the question going into this tournament, is which one would play. Do you have a sense of that yet? Do you think it's a combination? What's your feel?
Absolutely. I think at least for me, I think part of the tournament's going to be spent up shallow, and part of the day is going to be spent out deep. There are fish in both areas. There are some fish up shallow, although I've yet to catch a big fish up shallow. I have caught some pretty good fish out deep, but
Okay.
It's anybody's guess. You know, the weather today, if it rains and we get overcast, blustery skies, then that's going to change things. If we get slick, calm, hot, bright sunshine, that'll change things, kind of like we had today. So, you know, a lot of it this time of the year is weather dependent. So, but I do think it'll be a shallow and a deep pattern.
All right. I've been keeping my eye on the current flow out there through the TVA app a little bit, and it looks like it's not really cranking along. Do you feel like that's the situation throughout the tournament, that we're going to be dealing with kind of low current flow, or do you feel like that could change things up?
No, I think we're going to have low current. You know, we're at Wheeler, and there are obviously hydroelectric dams on the Tennessee River, notwithstanding at Wheeler as well. The issue here is that, well, it's two issues. One, we haven't had any rain. Two is they can produce more power at the nuclear plant right across the river than they could ever hope to produce out of a hydroelectric plant. So the hydroelectric plants on the Tennessee River, my understanding at least, is that they've kind of been outdated with nuclear power. So they're not used so much anymore to generate power. Really, the function of the dams at this point is to provide water to the Ten-Tom waterway so that barge traffic can get up and down the Ten-Tom waterway. And if we've had rain, they'll move water through the system, and we haven't had any rain. Not only no rain at Gunnersville to speak of, no rain at Wheeler, but no rain throughout the system. So I don't look for there to be much in the way of current.
Okay. I guess my last question, you're basically a local here to some extent, and I know you've got an idea of what it's going to take to win. What, in your mind, whoever wins this, what do you think they're going to have per day? What's your feel?
I think they're going to have close to 15 pounds plus or minus a pound a day.
Okay.
Is what I think, and that's about as close as I would feel comfortable calling it right now. You know, everybody in this field is a very adept fisherman. These guys are really skilled. They're good at what they do, and it's not out of the question for somebody to go out and smack a 20-pound bag one day. Whether or not they can do that successive days or more than one day, I think that's going to be a really, really hard thing to do. But I do foresee a couple of guys catching big bags at least one day, and therefore the rest of their days could be a 13-pound day or a 12-pound day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Alrighty. Well, Jay, man, thanks for stopping by, and of course, best of luck tomorrow on the last day of practice.
Thanks. I'm going to eat tacos.
All right, last guy here at the ramp, Wesley Strader, Tennessee River dude. So I figure there's got to be some similarities between Wheeler and Chickamauga maybe in August?
Absolutely none.
That's kind of what I was afraid of.
Yeah, I'm totally confused. I've went to places I know where they live, and I've caught them before, and they ain't swimming out there to get to the river, and I just think they ain't biting. I mean, I had 2 keeper bites yesterday. I've had 5 bites all in 14 hours a day. I've had 5 bites, and it's really, 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 really tough on me. So I'm at a loss right now. Maybe tomorrow will get better.
It seems like the one thing that we're hearing a lot from guys is there's just so much bait out there. Like, are you seeing those massive, big balls of bait almost everywhere you go?
I don't think it's water. I just think it's bait. They're just swimming in bait. You know, the whole it's not even H2O. It's just shad 2O. So I mean, that's how thick the bait is. It's literally, I mean, you can't even idle your graft. Just almost blacks out with just bait.
Oh, wow.
And that's everywhere you go. So I mean, I don't know if they're just getting so much to eat or they're feeding at night. I mean, that's typically on the Tennessee River. That's what happens in August. They start feeding a lot at night, and it's a difficult hurdle to overcome.
Well, I know Wheeler, it's not really known for that offshore thing. There's just not a lot of real estate to work with out there. There is, however, there's a lot of wood in the lake, some of which has enough water for fish to hold on, some not so much right now.
I think they're allergic to it.
I was going to say, have you checked it out?
Yeah, they're pretty much, I think it gives off some kind of pheromones that makes them go blind and starve to death. So I have flipped wood till I've knocked every piece of bark in this lake off of it. I think, I don't know, it's not happening for me like that. So
if you had another day of practice, so tomorrow's the final day, but if you have one more day, is there anything you wish you could accomplish in 2 more days of practice?
Yeah, build me a ramp, jump into some pond somewhere off the river. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not just exaggerating. It's brutal. It was brutal yesterday. I mean, it's tough.
Whoever wins it's really going to earn it is kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, and I made a prediction that 13 a day would win it, and I'm not so sure that it'll take that much to win it. I mean, it's as tough as I've ever seen anywhere I've ever been. I've been to the Pascagoula River, and it fishes lights out better than this place does right now. So I don't know. It's throwing me for a loop. I know that.
Well, I'm gonna let you get rolling here. I'm gonna let you get regrouped, gather yourself, get after them tomorrow. You got one more day to figure them out. Wesley, thanks for stopping by, man.
If I gathered myself any more than I have already, I'd been bundled up and took in there